On a day like any other, all the animals in the world woke up, they started thinking, they started talking, and most importantly, they started taking revenge. I'm Joe, that's Johnny, that's H. Welcome back to the Comic Wasteland, and we're here to talk about the newest issue of Animosity.
The band's back together.
Yeah!
By Marguerite Bennett,
Oh,
Rafael De
like,
La Torre, and Aftershock Comics.
Thought I wasn't getting a high five. Cue the intro music.
Like, oh.
Honestly, I thought this was probably a great follow-up issue compared to what happened in issue 7.
It was good to have a nice, slow, lull.
Kind of decompress a little.
Right. After everything that happened in the issue before, where a lot of animals died, you know, we got to see how the aftermath of that took effect.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
And you really feel for Sandor at this point, because you know he's struggling. He only figured out how to read a few months ago, and he feels
he's behind on the curve.
He feels all this responsibility.
I mean, even at the first page, it kind of hit you hard. It was just the place was called Hourglass Falls.
Yeah.
The comment was the perfect place to remind you that time is running out.
Yeah.
Right.
God damn it.
Flip the
Holy
hourglass
shit.
over. It's true. It is good points. They just hit, softly drop all these stuff, and you get to see all these emotional moments, but because of this comic book, we get to see them from an animal's perspective, right? Because they just learned to do all this stuff, right? How would a cow know what a period is? You know what I mean? How, or a cat. And Sandor is pretty much a single dad, just trying to raise a child, and I get in its own way, it's cool to see it this way because it's just like any other show or book with animals in them. Right?
I think
when they personify them in a way that you're like, oh, they're actually relatable.
No, I was just gonna say that I think one of the best things about the book is how they totally normalize these things that we as people just have taken for granted through TV and movies.
Right.
Because from an animal's point of view, exactly, they're experiencing everything now for the first time.
Right, but they've adapted so fucking quick. That's the point. It's my cat suddenly started talking tomorrow, and I'm
it's
like,
a thing of they're better adapting than the humans are to the new world. I thought one of the best sequences early on in the series is when they're having the meeting of the human leader and the animal leader. If we have to cut back on reproducing, then you guys have to cut back too.
Yeah, right.
And all animals are who've committed crimes before the wake are hereby pardoned
before the wake.
One of the best parts of the series so far are these flashback moments. When Zar Zamora in this issue recalls why Zar Zamora is so bitter. And now that you know Zar Zamora's story, Zar Zamora doesn't seem as much of a dick as they did before.
And on the flip side, Palace, how
did he survive?
Yeah, how did the cat survive that long? Considering it was a high altitude cat and it was being experimented on. Technically, it wasn't supposed to be alive.
Right. He's like a 1 in a million miracle kind of thing. And that's the thing, right? All these little things that actually happen to us in the real world, these animals are talking about them. It's just in a separate setting, I guess. That's. You're right. Palace is the best example.
Bethesda, where she's wondering if her calf, which is probably grown by now, is out looking for her.
It's cool. Honestly, it's just nice to read something like this away from superheroes and all this bullshit and just personify them through.
Can you agree the best way to describe this book to someone who hasn't read this is The Secret Life of Pets meets The Walking Dead?
in a way.
I was thinking of a definite Walking Dead feel to it in that it does seem like everything that's going to happen escalates on a scale, because first it was they barely survived the animal mutiny of the Animilitary, and then they wandered into the forest to get away from that, and then they walked right into this area with the vulture,
scavengers,
and the vulture and his people.
Well, it kind of reminds me of what's that show that got canceled, The Revolution, after the electricity went out, all the electronics went out. Kind of like that. Everybody just separated into groups, and some people ended up in one group, and then families got split apart. But then in this case, it's just animals versus humans, and some humans are with animals, and some pets are still loyal. Well, I guess they're not pets anymore, but the pets still are loyal to their humans. I think the writing is very brilliant, and they're trying to hit you in the feels, where it counts.
And the art is
just really good.
It's great.
It's just very on point.
It's very consistent.
There was a real genuine grittiness in the scenes where the animals actually have to fight each other. In the scene where early on where Sandor had to fight Mimiko. Mimiko had the bear trap face grill on,
right?
And Sandor had to take it off of her, and then he ended up using it on her. Sandor and the human dude, Kyle, I think his name is. I'm not sure. Where they had to take on the Vulture. And they managed to get, like, shooting a grenade into a flying thing's mouth was like so like Nintendo thing that I had to be the boss.
A catapult.
The bulk of the issue is mostly just the debate on whether
philosophical,
whether the animals have souls. Is there really a god? Why would he allow this to happen if there was a god? And Sandor is just at the point where none of this matters to me. All that matters is getting Jesse to point A to point B.
Right.
But even the armadillo, who I'm hoping the armadillo stays around. Yeah. The armadillo seems pretty chill, where the armadillo's like passive enough to stand up to Sandor, but not piss him off the way like Mimiko was, and like even humans haven't figured out yet if there's a god or if we could prove that it's a god. So from the animal point of view,
they thought, the armadillo thought it was divine intervention, basically.
Right.
Good. Honestly, it's worth the read. At the very least, just read the first one. It's kind of like.
Yes, the first trade is out.
It gave me that feel of like the first time I read Y: The Last Man. Like you started reading and you're like, holy shit! Like this is something I've never read before.
I think Aftershock definitely.
It's just very it's just very gripping. That's.
Yeah, if there's any breakout hit of the Aftershock line, it's definitely this one. Given how they have the bi-monthly the Rise companion series. Now they're gonna spin off to a new book in Evolution in October, and plus the source book is coming out in September. So I mean, if any book is definitely getting Aftershock notice, it's this one.
Like, share, comment.
10 out of 10. Do again.
Please subscribe, guys. If anything, we'll be back soon. Take care.
Bye.